Everyone, welcome back to another new important post today with regard to the part 2 for July 2023, the current affairs from the preliminary point of view for the upcoming UPSC examination of 2024. So let's continue with our part 2 for the month of July of 2023, and the very first issue is with regard to the data protection bill, and the cabinet has given nod to the data protection bill of 2023. So it is called as the digital personal data protection bill of 2023. And why do we actually need such a law? So currently India does not have a standalone law to protect data. So we only have a Information Technology Act 2000 that deals with the whole gamut of issues with regard to the digital platform and also personal data. As there is an increase in digitalization and more of services that are being offered online both by the government and the private sector as well, there is a need to protect data which is being used for all these purposes. So the use of personal data is being regulated now presently under the Information Technology Act of 2000. In 2017, the central government constituted a committee which is chaired by the B.N. Sri Krishna to examine issues related to data protection in the country. The committee then submitted its report in 2018, and based on the recommendations of the committee, the Personal Data Protection Bill of 2019 was brought forth. But because of certain concerns with regard to this bill, it was referred to a joint parliamentary committee which then submitted a report in December 2021, and now we have another new form of the bill. After the draft bill was released after public consultation, it is called as the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill of 2023, which was introduced in the Parliament. And now this aims to provide a framework to deal with the protection and regulation of the use and storage of personal data of the individuals and related punishments, etc., as well with regard to the use of personal data. The next most important issue is that Taiwan, which maintains good relations with India, and India still adheres to the One China policy, where China looks to Taiwan as a part of its own country. Taiwan has opened a third representative office in India, which is called as the Taipei Economic and Cultural Sector, and this is the third one after Delhi and Chennai. Now this is being opened in Mumbai. So Taiwan announced that it would open the Taipei Economic and Cultural Center in Mumbai, the third such center after the New Delhi and Chennai one. Now, under the One China policy, Beijing does not recognize Taiwan's independence, which was formed after fleeing nationalists in 1949 as a sovereign separate entity. Now, India adheres to the One China policy and does not have any formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan. However, trade offices like the TECC, which I just mentioned above, operate as de facto embassies, and India has also trade office in Taipei as well. The two countries have also increased their cooperation in economic, trade, science and technology, critical supply chains, and also education and traditional medicine. Recently, however, the Indian Embassy of Sri Lanka has for the very first time become vocal and also criticized the increase in militarization of the Taiwanese strait and called for open and peaceful seas. The next most important is with regard to the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which would have ended by July 2017, but then it was called to be extended. Now the Black Sea, what is this Black Sea Grain Initiative? So already we know that Russia is going to war with Ukraine, and Ukraine is one of the biggest producers of many of the food grains which are being procured by many poor countries as well as countries in the Europe. So to ensure that there is export of these food grains and that it does not impact the food security, a Black Sea Grain Initiative was brought about to allow Ukraine to transport its food grains to the other countries through the ports in the Black Sea, and this was mediated by Turkey and the United Nations. Now, Ukraine is one of the biggest exporters of food grains such as wheat and corn, and a major contributor of the UN Food Aid Program. After Russia attacked the country and blocked its ports, it sent food price soaring and inflation high in many of the countries also, as well as the poorer nations. For example, Pakistan was very much affected because of the wheat which could not be exported from Ukraine, and the Black Sea Grain Initiative, also called as the Initiative on the Safe Transportation of Grain and Foodstuff from Ukraine Ports, commonly called as a Great Deal or commonly called as a Grain Deal in media, is an agreement between Russia, Ukraine, Turkey and United Nations during the Russia invasion of Ukraine. And the invasion happened in February 2022, and still they do not have an agreement or halt of the war. So this is to ensure that there is safe passage of Ukraine grains from the ports of Odessa, Chornomorsk and also Pindevi. So after the inspections were carrying out, that they were not used to import or export arms. And And this use of the Black Sea Grain Initiative was extended based on dialogue with Russia. And the next most important is BRICS. So we have already result of the BRICS summit, which consists of the 4 important nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. But we have something called as a BRICS Plus Political Parties Dialogue, and this was held in Johannesburg in South Africa. Now in 2023 July, the BRICS Political Parties Plus Dialogue, which forms a deliberating body for reforming and strengthening of the mechanisms for multilateralism and also resolving conflicts through dialogue and negotiation. Now the meeting was underway in Johannesburg, which spoke about the new development bank and alternate international payment system, and also contributing to the criteria for BRICS expansion and also developing of relations with Africa. African Union became the new member in the G20. Now the 5 nations contribute to 41% of the world's potential and have a significant market foothold as well. The next most important issue is with regard to space, and it is LV-M3 vehicle. Now what is LV-M3? It is a launch vehicle Mark III, which was previously called as the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III or the GSLV Mark III. It is a 3-stage medium lift vehicle developed by ISRO and is primarily used to launch communication satellites into the geostationary orbit, weighing at a particular weight, especially more than 4,000 kgs. Now the LV-M3 has a higher payload capacity than its predecessor, that is only the GSLV, and it is also used to now it's going to be used to launch the human space flight program, which is going to come up. And the main difference between the GSLV and the LV-M3 is that the GSLV, employing cryogenic state, is intended to carry a heavy satellites weighing 2,200 into the geosynchronous transfer orbit. The heavy lift launcher of Mark III is intended to enhance the geostationary orbit capability to 4,000 kgs, and is currently under being development. It is already being used with regard to Chandrayaan-3, and now it is going to be used with regard to the human spaceflight mission of ISRO. And let's look at National Green Hydrogen Mission. So this mission helps to achieve India's COP26 deals with regard to installing 500 gigawatt of electric capacity from non-fossil fuels by 2030. And the outcome of the National Green Hydrogen Mission is that development of green hydrogen production capacity would increase to 5 million metric tons per annum. It will a total investment of 5 lakh crore, creation of 6 lakh jobs, cumulative reduction in the fossil fuel imports of 1 lakh crore, and abatement of 50 million ton annual greenhouse gases. This is what it's looking at. The mission has a wide range of benefits, like creating of export opportunities for green hydrogen and its derivatives, decarbonization of industrial, mobility and energy sectors, reduction in dependence on the imported fossil fuel and feedstock, and also development of indigenous manufacturing capabilities, creation of employment opportunities, and development of cutting edge technology. So green hydrogen is a greener way of producing hydrogen. So we have hydrogen is usually produced through electrolysis, which it uses the conventional fuels like petroleum. So when we use green fuels like solar or wind energy to produce hydrogen, it is called as green hydrogen. And now OPEC wants to see an expansion, and countries of Azerbaijan, Malaysia, Mexico, Brunei have shown interest to join the OPEC. So OPEC is an acronym for the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, which was formed in 1960 by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Peninsula, and currently it has 13 members. So it is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland for the first 5 years of its existence, and then it moved to Austria, Vienna in 1965. In 2019, OPEC started to bring out a world oil outlook publication, and the 5 founding members, I told you the founding members, I told you I just spelled out the founding members of the OPEC, and now we have 13 members: Algeria, Angola, Peninsula, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Republic of Congo, Libya, Nigeria, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. And now we have something called as UK, Canada, Sweden taking Iran to the International Court of Justice because of a drowning of a Ukraine plane by Iran. And the International Court of Justice is a successor to the Permanent Court of International Justice, which was established in 1920 by the League of Nations. After the Second World War, the League of Nations and the Permanent Court of International Justice were replaced by the United Nations and the International Court of Justice. So the International Court of Justice panel consists of 15 judges, which are elected by the United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council for 9 years. No more than one judge of each nationality may be represented on the court at the same time, and the judges collectively reflect the principles of civilization and legal systems of the world. It is seated in Hague, Netherlands, in the Peace Palace, and this is the only principal ICJ, United Nations principal organ, which is not located in New York. Now, the International Court of Justice is also called as the World Court, and it is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations. It settles disputes mainly between the states in accordance with international law, and also gives advisory opinions with regard to international legal issues as well. And the next most important issue is with regard to internationalization of rupee. So recently the RBI has taken steps to internationalize rupee, that is using of rupee in the international markets for import, export, etc. One is opening of the special was-through accounts and allowing the ECB or the external commercial borrowings in the masala bonds. So there is a debate on internationalization of rupee, but however the economists say that this will increase the volatility of rupee and also will risk the Indian markets as well. So internationalization of rupee means what? It is nothing but the process of increasing the use of rupee in cross-border transactions. It involves promoting rupee for the use of import and export other than the current account transactions, followed by its use in capital account as well. In 1950, Indian rupee was used as a legal tender in UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman and Qatar. However, the devaluation of Indian currency in 1966 led to introduction of sovereign currencies in these countries to reduce the reliance of Indian rupee. So what are the benefits of internationalization of rupee? First of all, it appreciates the currency value. It will improve the demand for rupee in the international market. This will lead to increased convenience and reduction of transaction costs for business and individual. Number 3, reduced exchange rate volatility. When a currency is internationalized, its exchange rate tends to be stabilized. Increased demand for currency in the global market can help to reduce volatility, making it more predictable and reliable to international transactions. Geopolitical advantages is internationalization of rupee can enhance India's geopolitical influence, and it can strengthen economic ties with other countries as well and facilitate bilateral trade agreements and promote diplomatic relations. However, the challenges are few. So that is limited demand for there are challenges to go for internationalization of rupee, because there is very limited demand for rupee in the global market, and internationally where rupee constitutes only 1.6% of the currency that is used, and it is still not fully convertible, and India's trade constitutes only 2% of the world trade. So this is about the next most important issue is that the Collegium had cleared 7 appointments for the High Court. Now we should know that the Article 124 and 217 of the Constitution speaks of appointment of the High Court judges. 124 speaks of Supreme Court judges, and 217 speaks of the High Court judges. So the Collegium system came into being during the second judges case of 1993, where the Collegium consisted of CJI and 2 senior most judges. In the third judges case of 1998, the Collegium was expanded to 5 judges, that is the CJI and the 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court. The High Court Collegium is led by the Chief Justice and 4 other senior most judges, while the Supreme Court Collegium is led by the Chief Justice of India and 4 more senior most judges. The Collegium system came into being by the Supreme Court's order, and it's not a constitutional body, neither a statutory body, and it came into being to clarify the word consultation, which is included in Article 124 and 217. That is, the President consults the Chief Justice and the other high judges before making appointments. So to clarify the term of consultation and the powers of this Chief Justice of India in this regard, the Collegium system came into being. However, there are many criticisms regarding the Collegium system, that it is not transparent and can lead to nepotism, etc. So these are some of the issues with regard to it was because of this criticism that the National Judicial Appointments Committee had formed, and it was also then scrapped by the Supreme Court, saying that it interferes with the independence of judiciary, which is the basic structure of the Constitution. And another most important issue is that India and France celebrated 25 years of strategic partnership. Now, the two countries established diplomatic relations in 1947 and upgraded the partnership into the strategic level in 1998. The two countries laid down a roadmap for Horizon 2047. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited France to attend the Bastille Day Parade, and all the 3 wings of the defense attended the Bastille Day Parade, which marks a significant milestone in strengthening relationship between India and France. This is the second time that Indian leader has been invited as a guest of honor to the parade, which is a major event in the French national calendar. And the next coming up is EU carbon tax mechanism, which is a policy measure that aims to put EU carbon border tax or carbon border adjustment mechanism, PCBAM. We have been frequently hearing of this, especially with regard to India's exports to the Europe, and it is a policy measure that aims to put a fair price on the carbon emissions generated during the production of certain goods imported into the EU. It is a part of the Fit for 55 2030 package. So it is a part of Fit for 55 2030 package, which is EU's plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 compared to the 1990 levels, in line with the European climate law. And the CBAM will apply to all the imports of cement, iron, steel, aluminium, fertilizers, electricity and hydrogen from countries that have less stringent climate policies than the EU. Importers of these goods will have to buy carbon certificates that reflect the amount of carbon emissions embedded in their products, and the price of the certificates will be equivalent to the price of the carbon in the EU emissions trading systems, which is a market-based system that regulates the emissions of the industries with the EU. Now, it is intended to encourage cleaner industrial production in the non-EU countries and ensure that carbon-friendly products enter the European economy. So this is about, and the other most important issues with regard to the High Seas Treaty, also called as the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Treaty or the BBNJ Treaty. It is a legally binding instrument for conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity in areas beyond the national jurisdiction. So we all know that the littoral countries or the coastal countries have something called as exclusive economic zone, which extends from their coastline to 200 nautical miles into the sea. Beyond that, it is the control of the international body, that is the United Nations, to the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea. And this agreement had come into and this convention came into force in 1982. The text was finalized on 4th March of 2023 and adopted on 19 June 2023. It consists of 4 main themes: marine genetic resources, that is fair and equitable sharing of the benefits; area-based management tools, including marine protected areas; environment impact assessment; and capacity building and transfer of marine technology. Now, before the treaty can enter into force, it has to be ratified by at least 60 UN member states, and this process is likely to take some time. The former treaty, that is the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea, was adopted in 1982 and entered into force in 1994. In 2023, the UNCLOS was ratified by 167 countries or states of the United Nations and the European Union. However, some states haven't still signed or ratified it as well. So the area beyond the national jurisdiction, which comes under the high seas and the seabed, constitute about 2/3 of the ocean, and they are highly exploited areas. Therefore, this BBNJ treaty will seek to protect these areas, and also that is apart from the already protected exclusive economic zones by the sovereign countries. And the next most important issue is government is planning to share the data of the PM Gati Shakti. So what is PM Gati Shakti? It's nothing but the national master plan for multimodal connectivity, a major infrastructure and a logistic program to help spur manufacturing in the country, and it aims to create and it is worth 1.2 trillion, that was launched in 2021. It aims to bring all the ministries, relevant infrastructure related ministries and departments together and to create a digital platform for integrated planning of any of the project. For instance, it will interconnect the Ministry of Indian Railways, roadways, airways, waterways, etc. to complete a project wherever needed in a fast-paced manner, so that it can benefit the manufacturing sector. The main objective of the plan is to spur manufacturing activity and improve the infrastructure availability to achieve a $5 trillion economy and to increase this to $20 trillion economy by 2040. And the next most important issue is about Nari Adalat, that is women courts at the village level as an alternate dispute redressal mechanism. So the government is set to launch Nari Adalat. The centre is planning to launch initiatives of setting up of Nari Adalat at the village level as an alternate dispute redressal mechanism. So they are not the regular system of conventional courts in India, and they will deal with issues like domestic violence, property rights, countering the patriarchal system, process by which the disputes between the parties are settled and brought to an amicable result without the intervention of the judicial institution or the courts and without any trial. Now, ADR offers a resolution of civil, commercial, industrial, family issues and not criminal issues where the people are not able to start any type of negotiation. ADR, or the alternative dispute redressal mechanism, includes arbitration, conciliation, mediation, negotiation and Lok Adalat. Lok Adalat has been given a statutory status under the Legal Service Authority Act of 1987, and the scheme of Nari Adalat would be run by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. And with regard to, there has been the first batch of Agnipath or Agniveers that have been inducted into the program. So almost 46,000 Agniveers have been inducted. So it is a 4-year program where the youngsters from 17.5 years of age to 21 years of age are inducted into this program as Agniveer and trained for the armed forces, and they will be given a one-time Seva Nidhi package also after the 4 years. However, 25% of those who are eligible will be taken into the defense stream. The others will be left to go into the mainstream society, and whenever they will be given first preference in the employment in the defense sector as well. So the Agnipath is a human resources management scheme for defense forces. Candidates inducted through this scheme are called as Agniveers. Agniveers, once enrolled into the armed forces, will serve for a period of 4 years. Endeavor will be made to enroll the candidates of these from all parts of the country, and they are from the age group of 17.5 to 21 years of age. 25% of the strength of this will be enrolled in the Indian Defence Forces based on the performance during the 4-year period. And on completion of the 4-year period, the Agniveers will be given a Seva Nidhi package. The Seva Nidhi package will comprise the contribution of the Agniveer Corpus Fund and matching contribution from the government, and also the interest accumulated. In case of individuals who are selected for enrollment to the armed forces as a regular candidate, the Seva Nidhi package will be paid to them once they comprise only their contribution, including the interest amount. Seva Nidhi will be exempted from income tax. So this is about Agniveers. And the last but not the least is Maharashtra Speaker issued notices to the PMLAs of 2 factions of Shiv Sena on disqualification. So they were disqualified on the grounds of defection. Now let me tell you that the Speaker has the right to decide on the disqualification ground of defection, that is under Article 191 Clause 2, and they do not need to take the opinion of the ECI in case of how the disqualification is decided by the President under Article 102 and 191, both clauses 1. So in case of a normal disqualification, the decision is taken by the President, who consults the ECI, and his decision shall be based on the advice of the ECI. The Speaker does not take his decision based on the advice of the ECI. That is, and performance grading index was released by the Ministry of Education. So it is based on 73 indicators in 2 categories: outcomes and governance management, and these categories are divided into 6 domains, that is learning outcomes, access, infrastructure, facilities, equity, governance, process, teachers, education and training. And last but not the least, finally winding up, is the last is Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers. Government has decided to increase the services provided by these centers, so they move away from the selective healthcare to more comprehensive range of services spanning preventive, promotive, curative, rehabilitative and also palliative care for all the ages. The national policy envisages these Ayushman Bharat centers as foundation of India's health system, and they deliver a wide range of comprehensive healthcare for services like maternal child care services to address both communicable, non-communicable diseases, elderly, palliative care, and free essential medicines and diagnostic services, teleconsultation, health promotion, including wellness services like yoga, are also provided in these Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers. So this is about the second part of the July based current affairs for your prelims, upcoming prelims UPSC examination of 2024, and I shall see you in my next post, and until then, it's very happy learning.